Here we
It's
go.
now
Bingo.
streaming.
Are we being live streamed, gentlemen? Welcome, everybody aboard. It's time once again for the SBAU Astro Hour. It's a 1 hour Monday morning vlog. We do live 11 to noon once a week for the Santa Barbara Astronomical Unit, south coast of Central California's longtime telescope and astrophysics club. Proud to be your host. I'm going to go by Ronnie. That's my real name. It's Ronnie Heron, no more Baron. This is my new incarnation, hosting this program well into its fourth year, VP, and very proud to be with these guys. Learn a lot. I'm going to introduce you to the Brain Trust here in a minute. You can watch us on YouTube. We're streaming live, maybe joined by our president from Ireland or UK somewhere. Come to our first Friday meeting. Got great speakers. Dr. Masiero is looking forward to coming and regaling us about large asteroids that may hit us and how they're looking for them with infrared. Otherwise, Santa Barbara Museum of Natural History loves us. We love them. Check us out at sbau.org. And outreach events, man, we have them. And let me introduce you to the guys on the screen, one of whom has left, but we'll get him when he comes back. Chuck McPartlin. Chuck, how are you? Santa Barbara Astronomical Unit Outreach Coordinator. You never grow tired of this, do you? Oh, once in a while. You love lugging that heavy meteorite that'll make your feet look like a duck. Anyway, he's part of the heart and soul of the club as far as I'm concerned. I know he hates that, but between him and his wife, Pat, she's the heart of the club. Pat McPartlin's probably sitting nearby, a merchandise manager and our treasurer. And who else is on the screen? There's Tom Totten running everything, former president. Very, well, he's younger than the most of us, so he's a very active, dynamic guy in charge. We'll make him captain of the Starship this week, and he is married to Cezanne, the artiste. And let's see who has also joined us. Tom Whittemore. How are you, Tom?
Morning.
Editor of our newsletter, former Westmont teacher, astronomer, and longtime professor out there, and he's married to his lovely wife, Maureen. Tim Crawford is looking away. Tim, wave at us. Tim is married to Karen.
Hello.
Yeah, Tim's mooning us.
Yeah. And it looked like Bruce Murdoch, who is also president of the Santa Barbara Theater Organ Society. I thought he was bringing wings in, but that's some sort of a giant folding backdrop. Hello, Bruce.
Hello. Well, since I can't do it on my computer, I'm doing it physically.
Okay, where did you get that and what is it?
It's a Star Trek.
Oh, Star Trek.
I think I paid $15 for it. I bought it so that I could shield the streetlights from when I'm set up on my deck.
All right, well, I'll make you Mr. Spock of the Starship SBAU Enterprise. You just need pointed ears. We are sometimes joined by the president on his vacation. I know he keeps sending us the silly cartoons. Tom, you've archived these and you can share them with us because we always like to start our.
Are you ready to go, Ron?
Pretty much, and I'll guide you through it. This is program number 181, incidentally. Here we go. These are the sillies. All right, we take you to a distant large planet, a huge exoplanet where they're sitting on their porch reading. And off to the left is a flypaper hanging from the ceiling that has various probes, astronauts, landers stuck. We are just buzzing around them like mosquitoes in their galaxy. Very desolate looking landscaping outside. Looks like the moon.
Yeah, that's a great cartoon.
Yeah, that's good. These are coming from Jerry. NASA, it says here, has just released the first image captured from the new Curiosity Mars rover. It's on its side, that little Martian creature from what program is that? Does anybody know?
That's Bugs Bunny cartoons.
Is that from Bugs Bunny?
Yeah.
And that's Marvin the Martian, right?
Yeah,
that sounds right.
Marvin.
And Curiosity was new about 12 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. They're a little behind on this one, but that's funny. Okay. And make that larger because that's the old time periodic table of elements in ancient Greece and Rome. We had earth, water, air, and fire. I know it well. You mix it together and you got one hell of a flaming mud puddle, I'll tell you right now. But it used to fascinate me. That's the way they looked at the universe, isn't it? It's just those four things.
And they get these little comments next to the Earth that says, "Where there be solid,"
Yeah,
and underneath water it says, "Where there be," what's it say?
not solid.
Transition.
Transition.
Oh, okay.
Why did it say transition for water?
Because next over to it is maybe not solid.
Yeah.
Maybe not solid, air and water. Okay, whatever. I get it. All
And the
right.
fourth one, fire, is today known as plasma. Here is Mark Twain's statement that could be misinterpreted. If you don't read the newspaper, you're uninformed. You do read the newspaper, hell, you're misinformed. Sounds like the platform of one of the political parties, I'm sorry to say.
Yeah.
Maybe he
Can't
was onto
win.
something. I don't know. That's great. 5 minute stoic. Here's a new amazing wrench. One side is standard, the left, on the other side to the right, that one's metric. Even though we truly live in an age of technological marvels, we determine the width ourselves. So I guess that one misses the mark, but I love. Are there wrenches like that have? Never mind. Okay, here are the poor fish swimming in polluted waters, and there's a newspaper sitting there that says "Water found on Mars," and one of them says to the other, choking up, "How do we get to Mars?" For crying out loud. It's awful under all that cheese overhead, plastic. Well, okay, silly stuff. What's on anybody's mind this week since we don't have an incredible Jerry Wilson set of
I can add something here if you want.
All right, Tom
Yes.
Whittemore, you're on.
Yeah, so Wednesday morning, Mars and Jupiter are going to be about 0.4 degrees apart, and I've been kind of watching them come on to one another over the last couple of weeks. And I was thinking about this morning. I was talking to Maureen that this reminds me of Hair, the rock opera Hair. When the moon is in the seventh house and Jupiter aligns with Mars, peace will guide our planet and love will steer the stars. So anyway, it's been kind of spectacular watching this happen. A couple of weeks ago, Jupiter and Mars were fairly far apart. And because of that, it looked like Taurus the bull had two red eyes. Aldebaran and Mars. I did go out last night about 1:30, but I got clouded out. Did anybody try to see some of the Perseus?
Yeah, a bunch of us went out to Lake Los Carneros.
Okay.
We were only out from about 9 to a little past 11.
Okay.
And we saw maybe a dozen.
Okay.
And nothing super spectacular.
Yeah.
But the sky was very, very milky, especially toward the north.
Mm-hmm.
And turns out auroras were visible last night down to latitude 32.
Oh, wow.
So I wish we had taken a long exposure. I think Duff took some pictures. It was Tessa and Duff, Chrissy, Pat and me and David Larson.
Okay.
And Duff was taking some photographs, so maybe he noticed some pink in the sky. We'll have to find out from Tessa later.
Okay. Yeah, I saw one about a week ago, Chuck, an errant, a precursor.
Yeah, we had people at Kachuma and Refugio and at the Star Party that saw some bolides, but of course we were always looking down when that happened.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That looks like it was taken near the standing stones of Stennis in the Orkney Islands.
Oh, you're talking about this one?
Right.
This is Stonehenge.
That's Stonehenge.
Stonehenge, all right.
Oh,
very, very vertical photo. I'm gonna shrink it down again here, and to get the whole thing in at once. So,
wow.
Are we that angled to the Milky Way? Isn't that a little steep?
Yeah, it's right overhead right now.
Oh,
it goes overhead. Let's put it that way.
can you see the summer triangle in there or anything? No, I don't know.
Oh, not. Yeah, I don't think so.
Wow.
More the Sagittarius region.
But back to space weather. Here's a picture from North Carolina.
Okay.
And then what's really, really cool about the space weather page, you go down to where the fireballs are being tracked. 126 fireballs, and this point here, I guess the red circle is the Earth's orbit. Is that right? No.
Yeah.
That's not right. So the orbits of the planets, the sun is in the center. This is Earth's orbit, I guess, on a gray circle. and it's showing all these intersections, the orbits of these fireballs that come in, these meteors that cross.
Yeah,
through the sky.
the red is something that was a slow orbiting object.
Yeah.
And
yesterday, color-coded by velocity.
This is August 11th. That was the first time that the number of sporadics was less than the number of Perseids.
Interesting.
What, just out of curiosity, gentlemen, Perseids, is that an asterism or the name of the
Perseus is the constellation Perseus, and the radiant point appears to be there. Yes.
That's okay.
And that's caused by which comet is that causing that stream?
Swift-Tuttle. Swift-Tuttle.
Well, I saw one and it went up on Saturday night. I assume that was a Perseid.
If it was coming from the direction of the northeast, then that's a Perseid.
Okay, well, this one went up, from the horizon upward, but it was in the north, so that wouldn't have been a Perseid.
So it could have been, yes.
Oh, it could have been. Okay. Normally you see them coming down.
You have to trace the streak back to which direction it came from.
Yeah, they're not coming up or down. They're coming in a direction like north to south or east to west.
Yeah, okay. But that's how
you look at it. You trace it back to a constellation and see if it goes back to the constellation Perseus.
Is there always some sort of a meteor shower? Is there ever a time we don't have them?
There's always sporadics.
Okay.
But there's plenty of time we're not in a shower.
Yeah.
And every so often a spacecraft deorbits.
Yeah.
That was impressive.
And, there was a launch yesterday.
Yeah.
It wasn't quite as impressive because it was in daylight.
Yeah.
But China is now launching the first of a series of 16,000 low Earth orbit satellites to compete with Starlink.
Oh boy.
Jeez.
And they launched it a couple of days ago, and they successfully deployed some small number. It was 16 or something, but their Long March 6 booster blew up or fragmented into 300 pieces of debris that are traceable, that you can track. Okay, so that's 300 pieces bigger than 8 inches.
Wow.
And there's now a cloud of debris in low Earth orbit. So get ready for Kessler syndrome. Get ready for just a chain reaction of collisions here.
Wow.
Wow. Are the Starlinks set up like moving cell towers?
Yeah, basically.
Okay. Anytime we use our cell phone, we're near a cell tower, and they even take a record of it. It's used in crime investigations. Is that what he's trying to do around the world if you have a cell phone? Or
some of them are direct to cell, but for some of them you need a little different kind of receiver transmitter.
You need a bigger antenna.
Yeah.
And low orbit means how high?
Up to 500 miles, I think.
Well, that's all low. That's where most of there it is. It's our polluted sky.
And that is just Starlink.
Oh, is it really right there?
Yeah.
Musk has that many little babies up there? My God.
6,000.
Wow.
Good Lord.
Has anybody planned? Is that planned, or is that what's there now?
That's what's there now.
Wow.
Has anybody done a sci-fi movie about how lower Earth orbit becomes inoperative because of all the collisions going on?
Gravity.
Oh, Gravity was that? Okay.
Yeah, Sandra Bullock and George Clooney. But
last night when we were watching for the Perseids, we could see the latest string of Starlinks coming over. And they were spread out so much that basically anytime you looked toward the northwest, you had 3 satellites in view.
Yeah.
And yet they're only the size of a bread box or a toaster?
No, they're the size of a refrigerator, basically.
Oh, they are.
And then they have like a 10 or 12 foot solar panel.
But if they're the size of a refrigerator, he launches them a dozen at a time. Can you get 12 refrigerators into a rocket ship on top of each other?
He launches them 22, 23 at a time. Good
Lord.
Those red dots on the screen are a little bit big for the satellite.
Yeah.
You know what's going to be a problem in the future is certain ones come down. They'll come down anywhere, won't they? Once in a great while in the future, Something will lose its height and wipe out a neighborhood.
Yeah. Well, these burn up.
Yeah.
No, well, I know I've asked this before, but has anybody been talking about the idea of BFI going up into space and getting rid of all this debris?
Yes. Uh-huh. There are several initiatives on that, various approaches. Some of them are using like a big net.
Uh-huh.
Some of them are proposing lasers, and you just beam a laser there and you ablate a little bit off of the pieces of debris, and it acts like a retro rocket and they deorbit. Some are proposing like a big garbage can that goes up and collects them.
I like the idea of flypaper.
Yeah. and one of the worst proposals I heard was go up and shoot a whole bunch of tungsten pellets in the opposite direction.
Tungsten what?
Tungsten pellets.
What is that? Oh, pellets.
BBs.
Oh,
Big
well,
BBs.
then you got tungsten pellets in orbit.
Yeah,
You?
I know. It sounded like a crazy idea to me, but I'm sure somebody must have thought about what you do with the ones that miss.
Well, they probably don't burn up very well in the atmosphere because they're, refractory almost.
Yeah.
Do you suppose the original baby is still up there, Sputnik, among all of them?
I think it's still up there, but not operative.
Well, I know,
It
but
was pretty low orbit. It may have decayed.
nobody tracks Sputnik.
Oh, I'm sure that's tracked. NORAD tracks anything that's bigger than 4 inches, I think.
Might there be Russian capsules with dead cosmonauts in them?
No.
That's all gone. They've got them all back because they did lose some, but we didn't learn about it.
On re-entry.
Oh, was that how it happened? Oh, thought some of them were stuck up.
Well, you got cremated early.
Yeah.
What are all those dates, Tom?
Okay.
Oh, you can actually choose which group of Starlink satellites you want to look at. Like this was launched. These are the ones that were launched on August 10th. They're still traveling together, it looks like.
I just looked it up. Sputnik 1 burned up after 3 months in orbit.
Okay.
Oh, it did. And that can't be going that fast. That's pretty fast for going around the world.
Well, it takes an hour and a half.
Yeah, but at that rate, it'll be by in 20 minutes. Yeah, that's a little fast.
Well, the diameter of the Earth is like 24,000 miles.
Most of them are in that equatorial sine wave, right? Very few of them are north-south.
Oh, quite a few are north-south because that's spy satellite orbit and Earth resources orbit. But these, you don't want, if you're in a north-south orbit, you go over any spot on the Earth, but then you're gone. And here they want to have as continuous coverage as they can.
Why is the density not as why is there not so many satellites over Antarctica and the North Pole? I would think there'd be a lot of north-south orbits and they'd kind of be even across the Earth.
Less demand, plus it's harder to go into those high inclination orbits. And that's where Vandenberg has an advantage because they can launch to the south over the ocean and get into a north-south orbit easier.
How about
look at this orbit here, kind of just going along this, high latitude. What is that? Probably 60-degree latitude.
Yeah.
And how do they keep the satellites just in that latitude?
Well, that's from the inclination that they launch them at. You can see this line here of the Starlink, the latest Starlinks, kind of on the right.
All right.
That's the inclination. If you take the angle at the equator.
Yeah, but how do you put them? Would you keep these in orbit just at the 60-degree latitude?
Well, you launch them at this angle here.
Got to be an angle, huh?
I don't know. It just seems like
about the center of mass of the Earth, though.
Yeah.
If we launched north or south and it went over the North Pole and South Pole, it would stay in that orbit, but the Earth would turn inside that orbit, wouldn't it?
And that's why you put spy satellites and resource satellites there so that you can see any part of the Earth.
Okay, and it would just retrace a different longitude line every time it went around.
Yeah.
Ron, you made the statement that the satellites are in sine wave orbits. That's just a projection of the circular orbit onto the whatever.
Yeah, I understand that, but we all went through that 60s era when you would see that sine wave on the Earth And maybe we understood it, maybe a lot of other people didn't. It doesn't curve, in other words. It only curves because I guess, why is it curving on the screen?
It's the
Why does it-
projection of a circle.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what it is. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Neil deGrasse Tyson says we're not going to have war in space because anything gets blown up is just extra crap that's up there, more debris.
Well, it's to advantage of countries at war that do not have good satellite coverage to wipe out anybody else's satellite coverage so that they can't be used against them. So it's of course it locks you out of space for a couple of 100 years, but that's life.
Well, I've asked this question before and I can't remember your answer. If you were up there in your spacesuit doing a spacewalk like George Clooney in Gravity, and you took a baseball and just threw it straight down at the Earth, would it come down eventually and land, or would it just go to a lower orbit?
Well, it depends which direction you throw it in. I mean, if you throw it in the direction you're orbiting, then it'll go to a higher orbit. And if you throw it in the direction that you've just been at, it'll end up in a lower orbit.
Yeah.
If
Ron,
you throw
have
it, if you throw it straight down, it'll
Yeah.
end up higher than you. It'll oscillate around your orbit.
There's
there's
Jerry.
Jerry.
I thought that sounded familiar. Why don't we see you?
Hey, Ron.
I don't know.
Ron, have
Well,
you
there you
seen
are.
this? Have you seen the sequel to Gravity?
No, what's it called, Tom Whittemore?
Anti-Gravity, and George Clooney goes the other way.
Always knew he was AC/DC. Well, welcome aboard, Mr. President. Jerry, you and Pat Forgy having a grand time someplace in the UK right now?
Actually, we're at what is that place? That big airport. Anyway, we're on the grounds of the airport, and
Shannon
Heathrow?
or
no, we're back in London.
okay.
Heathrow?
We just flew in on Aer Lingus last night,
I see.
and we're getting ready to fly out on British Air tomorrow morning.
Okay.
So we're spending the night at a hotel on the grounds of Heathrow.
At that Sheridan right there?
No, this is sort of a new one. It's got a really funny name. It's ultra modern.
Okay, cool.
So, and you can walk to it from gate 5, which is the gate we're going to take off from.
Yeah, that's
tomorrow.
convenient.
Yeah.
Well, Jerry, if you look at Bruce on the screen, he's also telecasting from a cell phone and has got a bigger picture than you. Why can't you equal his size? Just the
I don't know. I'm on an iPad and far away. I just don't want to mess with trying to get into different
iPad.
modes because it might screw things up.
Okay, well, welcome aboard. We
Thank
pretty
you.
much exhausted this topic, unless you want to weigh in before you change.
No,
it to-
I didn't hear most of the topic, so proceed.
You're lucky.
Okay, good.
My background isn't computer generated. It's real.
Yeah. So's mine. So's mine.
He's really into space.
Prettier.
That's a grapefruit tree behind me, right through the window.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Looks very healthy.
It is very healthy. Yeah. There's probably can't see it, but there's a hummingbird feeder with grape jelly in it. Welch's grape jelly.
Uh-huh.
Are you a birder, Tom Whittemore?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Uh-huh.
You seen anything lately? There's a bird club, headquartered at the museum. Are you in that bird watchers group?
Yes, I am. Uh-huh.
Really? Do they meet in Fleischmann?
I'm in the Audubon Society.
Or do they meet inside in that little...
Yes, they do. They haven't been to a meeting in a while, but they used to meet in I think Ferrand.
Oh, okay.
Unless there were speakers, then they go over to Fleischmann,
Our days with Farron are over.
Yeah.
Well,
But every year I do the Christmas bird count with a bunch of friends who are pretty much experts. That's a lot of fun. I'm sort of advanced, but I'm not an expert, so it's fun to hang around people who know a hell of a lot more than you do.
Sure. It's amazing the different things we do.
No special birds here, Ron, except we do have roadrunners come through every now and then.
Meep, meep. You can hear them.
Yeah.
Meep drives those coyotes wild. Jerry, what can you report that you've seen in the last week since we saw you last?
Oh, I don't know. We've seen a lot.
Yeah, did that big hike, Jerry? Didn't you do a big hike?
Yeah, we did a 6-day hike around the the circle of Carey, different parts of it.
I see.
Lots of green.
It's tremendous green. Looks like pictures you see of rainforest with moss covering everything, and
Wow.
it's very, very lush. It rains every day, or at least part of every day in Ireland. That part we're in.
Like Milwaukee, if you don't like the weather, wait 5 minutes.
Yeah.
But
Hang on, Pat's pounding on the door to the hotel here.
Let the missus in. Maybe she can tell us what you've been seeing.
Wait, it's supposed to be futuristic. Futuristic, didn't it do face recognition?
Yeah. It seems to do everything else.
So you're at an airport, but you're in a hotel room too?
Yeah. We're at a hotel in the airport. At the airport.
Okay.
And they have these tunnels basically that you can walk through to get to the various terminals. So it's very convenient.
Yeah, it's there's a very fast subway that they don't call them that, underground express train that goes from the gates to here. And every few seconds, a major plane either lands or takes off in this view. But right now, they seem to be not doing it.
Okay. It's about 7:30.
Watching our show.
What's that?
Yeah. Is it about 7:30 for you right now?
I think so.
Okay.
PM.
Yeah, 7:25.
In a few years, Jerry, you could board one of those new supersonics they're planning that don't give sonic booms.
Yeah, lots of luck on that.
Trying to bring Concorde back.
You don't get to vote on the laws of physics.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, the thing I don't understand about the booms here is that they happen on the resettling back of the first stage. I can't see it coming down that fast. Seems to be.
Oh no, that's because the stage is coming down supersonic.
Yeah.
It's not anything else. It's just the shock wave from an object that wasn't designed to have no shock wave. Yeah. It has a shock wave.
I know, but what's it doing trying to settle it back at supersonic speed? It's supposed to be slowing down with a...
It only slows down for the very last period.
Yeah, before it slows down, it's coming back supersonic.
Yeah, and Jerry, there was a launch here around 7 o'clock last night. We saw it.
Yeah, someone posted that on Facebook. I saw it. Yeah.
It wasn't very impressive because it was daylight
in the daytime,
and the atmospheric conditions were such that you didn't get the nice contrails.
Yeah.
Well, is he still landing them on barges, or do they just come back to the spaceport?
No, it landed on the ship off Baja.
Okay.
Oh, okay. And there's a...
What do they name the ships? I know one is called "Of Course I Still Love You."
That's the one they used.
And another one is called "Just Read the Directions."
Yeah.
And I forget what another one is.
And I wonder if old Elon Musk is going to do better in Texas than here.
He'll find out.
I don't know. You know, he's so impulsive. I doubt that he'll move to Texas.
Really?
Well, a lot of his employees will not move to Texas, I think.
That's right. That's right.
Maybe after the election, he'll come over to the light side again instead of the
dark.
No,
he's a sociopath. He won't.
Where I worked at Santa Barbara Research Center, it was purchased by Raytheon, and Raytheon wanted to move us to Texas. And that year that they announced that, between July 1st when I retired and November 1st, there were 75 people that retired because they weren't they did not want to move out of state.
Yeah.
When Northrop Grumman bought our company, they wanted to move us to El Segundo.
Yeah.
Basically, the whole office said, no.
No.
When General Motors was purchased Hughes aircraft, they wanted to make our facility here a division of Hughes.
Yeah.
And not that would be particularly bad because we'd still be here, but we'd lose our retirements. It would freeze and you start fresh. And we're going to unionize. We would be the only salaried union within General Motors. And they decided that, well, we're small and it probably doesn't matter that much. And we just leave you alone, which is what we wanted.
Yeah.
Well, since there's plenty of R&D still out there, do you suppose they consider our Hollister Avenue like a mini Silicon Valley?
They call it the Goleta Corridor in Raytheon.
Is that right?
And it has a lot of startup companies. If big companies move out, which they do, or like my applied magnetics, if they fail because of bad market conditions. There's a lot of new places that come up. There's graduate students from UCSB and spin-offs from Hughes, and they start up these companies. They one time had a color code for them. There was amber engineering and indigo engineering, and then there was cyan systems. So
Do you suppose that building where LCO now, it's off of Hollister, back about one block, was that research and development before? They've only been around 10 years, I think.
that one I never paid much attention to. I was right across the street at
I think it was
SBRC
various and assorted firms in there.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
One.
Okay. And Hughes is long gone, and Raytheon's gone, and Delco.
Raytheon's still around.
Santa Barbara Research. How could it have the name Santa Barbara Research? Does that mean it was locally owned, had nothing to do with NASA? Or...
There was a group of people in 1957 that spun off from Hughes Aircraft Company, and they came up to Santa Barbara and they called it Santa Barbara Research Center. And then Hughes looked at this after about 5 or 6 years and said, "You're doing pretty good. We'll buy you." And so they bought it and they made it a wholly owned subsidiary. And then when Raytheon bought that part of Hughes in 1998, they were going to absorb it as a part of Hughes and transfer it. And then they found they had to pay capital gains tax on that and all the business, and it had expanded many, many times. So they thought, nope, it'll stay a wholly owned subsidiary and Raytheon will deal with it. So,
well, I haven't thought of doing this, but I wonder if you can find a place online that'll send you their news, their monthly newsletters or stuff they're doing, what they're working on. Do you guys all keep in touch with those?
We do through, what is it, alumni Facebook, or not Facebook? Yeah, alumni Facebook pages.
A lot of the companies consider that proprietary information, Ron. They're not going to.
Exactly. Yeah, one retiree or someone from Hughes and else in Culver City, they discussed something about their corporation, and they had in their talk pricing for that was proprietary information, and Hughes went after them viciously. So no one else has done that.
Well, do you suppose if NASA's in the middle of some sort of a future probe, and you know they got dozens of them, the Parker and the Juno, I would imagine something's being built. Your stuff is still on board some spacecraft, aren't they, that you made back in the 80s?
Yes, 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010.
I mean,
they're still
Raytheon's
still a major player. Yeah.
Wow, it's all right here. And it's
well, Raytheon is pretty diversified across the nation, I'm sure.
Yes.
Makes us
I've got you beat in terms of longevity of electronics. I have stuff that's in 14,000 feet of water off Kauai that was installed in 1978. And no matter what they've done to it, they haven't managed to kill it.
We have a satellite that's living in the Marianas Trench because when it took off from Vandenberg Air Force Base in 2007, I think, the shroud didn't come off the booster vehicle, and so it was 1,500 pounds too heavy. So it now sleeps with the fishes.
Okay, not living there.
Stuff I'm talking about is operational. It's part of a 30-mile wide, a 60-mile long underwater tracking array.
Yeah.
We can track things to an accuracy of about 9 feet.
So who is RTX?
That's Raytheon.
Raytheon.
Yeah.
Really?
Where I worked was Raytheon Systems Civil Space Division. And it was called Raytheon Systems. They've changed their name.
Yeah, every time they sort of buy some new set of companies, the name kind of gets churned around.
What was it I read about Apollo? They used 10,000 different firms to build different parts to the Saturn.
That's not uncommon. A lot of subcontracts.
God.
Automobiles are built that way.
Yeah.
Pratt and Whitney, those are the engines, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Good stuff, Raytheon.
So
I think my last
Raytheon's part of RTX.
Raytheon hasn't lost any doors on their aircraft or anything like that lately. And they don't have anything stuck to the ISS they can't get back.
But they did have for a while they tried to go into, and they're probably still doing it, but they tried to go into civil aviation, and they had that plane with the engines facing backwards, you know, a pusher, Starship or something they called it.
I don't recall that.
But that was a successful Starship.
When I
one
worked
of
for
the rotating props.
Yeah.
Exposed.
Well, no, it had two turboprop engines facing backwards that were mounted on the back of the wings.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then it had
When
canards.
When I worked for Hughes Aircraft Company, Hughes did not make any aircraft.
Yeah.
We all did aeronautics and support systems.
Well, try telling
You know,
that about
it is really distracting to have all this scrolling going on.
There's a lot of information out there. I'm trying to finish the internet.
Yeah.
You shouldn't show anything unless you want to explain it in detail.
I just
Okay,
explained
start it left.
Where do you guys want to go? Do you have anything, any stories besides Mars and Jupiter being close? That's kind of interesting.
You can still enjoy Venus after the
Well,
sun
the
goes
moon,
down in the
the
west.
moon is at
well,
last
first
quarter,
First
Yeah.
quarter.
or first quarter. So there's all sorts of things. Uwe Melling, a Facebook friend of mine, posted a wonderful picture of the Straight Wall, very high resolution. What is that called? Rupus
Recta.
Rupus recta.
Yeah. Rupus recta. Yeah.
We're gonna
So
we're
that's-
gonna be doing the moon for Telescope Tuesday tomorrow night. So
Okay.
Fantastic. You mentioned alumnus.
Black boxes to cover the lights.
well, first quarter moon, it's I guess we could cover the lights, but it seems like it's a little futile.
What is that? Oh, that's a grass. Okay. But Jerry, you mentioned alumnus, alum. Do you
Alumni, yeah.
get together with people that worked out there with you 50 years ago?
Yes,
Okay.
there's a lot of people that do that. Some people are personal friends on Facebook, a lot of people. There's a lot of communication back and forth. I used to go over to sit down at Anna's Bakery for lunch or late breakfast and have a breakfast burrito, which theirs are wonderful, and see a lot of old friends there. And a lot of them have passed away or moved away. It's thinning out now. I don't see as many.
Do you know John Willis?
Yeah.
Okay, he's pretty cool. He worked with us a lot at Comtech.
Okay.
Can I bring up real quickly a name that Jerry knows and read something to you that he sent me to, well, if I can find it. His name is Neil Malone.
Oh,
Neil?
yeah. He's a member of our club.
Well,
Or at least
he isn't.
He attends our club.
Yeah.
I wrote it down somewhere, what he was going to talk about, and it was about 10 things, all that seemed different. Here, let me read it to you, just to see if this is what his little 20-minute talk's going to be about. This is what he wrote. CubeSat ground station we built and use to intercept NOAA and serial CubeSats. A wind tunnel, a high-altitude balloon challenge, a national competition, solar eclipse monitoring, Stellar Explorers National Competition, National Rocketry Challenge. That's
He's
his
got
topic.
a full menu there.
I think so. Am I going to have to tell him pick one, or are they all can make?
No, he'll manage it. He's experienced at giving talks.
He's going to start showing up again. He's going to pay us
Yeah.
20.
He's a nice guy.
NOAA means National Oceanographic and Atmospheric Agency. It's one of our chief customers.
And they're
Well,
the big weather agency that this Agenda 2025 wants to get rid of because they're spreading climate alarmism. It's like,
Yeah.
give me a break.
Yeah.
Well, he's our age, and he said he just got a part-time job again, but he's a captain with the Civil Air Patrol. He's a pilot. Do
Yeah.
they have CAP? Do they have captains?
Sure.
Okay. I thought it
It's
was
Every
like a
airplane has a
military.
captain.
Yeah.
what?
I said, every airplane has a captain, every flying airplane.
Okay, if you're
Yeah.
the main pilot, you're Sky King, then you're a captain. Okay.
Well, you may be the only person on board too.
Well,
You
Bruce,
might be.
that you're talking,
So,
Bruce, thank you very much for considering the fact that you only have 20 minutes and you're going to let your friend, your partner, Farshad Barman, do your talk on N planets, N worlds. Is that what the word is?
yeah,
Orbits?
he's going to take the code that I wrote. He can put that into a different computer language that he likes,
Okay.
and so he can do 3D representations of what's going on. And I
Yeah.
forgot what it is that he wants to show us, but yeah,
But you
he
have-
and I talked, and we didn't figure we could do either one of our presentations justice in 10 minutes.
Well,
Yeah.
20 minutes is what you're
Well, that's
allowed.
20 minutes total.
Yeah. Oh, I see. Each of you had two parts to it. And the third speaker will be Sean Kelly, and I'm not sure what he's going to talk about, but it should be interesting.
He
So,
came to Refugio and he came to Saturday night.
Yeah,
Sean
he was
did?
there.
Okay.
Sean did, yeah. He left late.
Yeah.
Oh, here's Civil Air Patrol events. Wow.
Yeah,
How
that's
did
an
you?
old agency.
How do you know Neil? Just out of curiosity, did you work with him?
He
out
was
on
a colleague of mine at Santa Barbara Research Center and at Santa Barbara Remote Sensing.
Oh, okay. We may see him at a star party or a general meeting.
No, I just see him sitting down in the audience when I sit down after I give my introduction.
Oh, he's there?
Well, he's
I-
frequently there at our meetings.
I've never seen him at a meeting. I just met him at the LCO.
Well, the
open
last time I saw him at a meeting, he was wearing a mask, and I recognized his voice. And I said, "Are you Neil Malone?" And he goes, "Yeah." So
Well, he has a daughter, he says, really loves astronomy, and he's trying to get
Yeah.
her to join. So,
Molly Malone, right?
Yeah.
yeah, right. By the way, we saw the statue of her.
Okay.
It looks like they misspelled his name there, isn't it? Neal?
it is. Did they? Oh, yeah, they did. You're right. How did you know
Yeah.
that? Wow.
Good
Yeah, well,
memory.
okay. He's just a little behind, but he's got a part-time job doing something now, and we'll see him in December. Totten, you're doing a great job calling up stuff. Just don't have any talking points, but that's all right. I'm glad the president got some time off and now I can plunge back into this. I know you love this program.
Jerry,
yeah.
are you going to be on a night flight?
Pat and I were just trying to figure that out at dinner tonight.
Yeah.
We're leaving tomorrow morning at 11.
Yeah, we're leaving tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock London time.
Okay, so that's 4 a.m. here. So yeah, you
And then
probably
we'll-
won't get nighttime. I was just
Yeah,
going to say,
what-
look for auroras because they were visible quite far south last night, and there's still a big CME that's impacting us.
Yeah, I was reading about that.
Really? We're getting Aurora Borealis again down here this
Yeah.
low?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Down to Texas.
I'll be damned. You suppose Australia is getting their own Australis auroras?
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
They would be, I think. Yeah, there's nothing magical about the north end of things.
Okay, but this is more solar flares.
This is, it's coronal mass ejection.
Yeah. We're
Well, does
tilted
it-
a little toward the sun now, but it's moderating. So yeah.
Yeah.
But
Well, that's
normally
a nice picture.
just plain old solar wind gives a constant aurora somewhere, I guess. Both ends of the
Yeah, way up in the north.
Okay, right.
You need to overwhelm the Earth's magnetic field a little to get it far south.
Tom, is this a current picture?
No,
So
I
it's
think
11.
the sun is normally like an incandescent light bulb, I thought.
This is on the 11th, so yeah, this is fairly recent.
Okay. Yeah.
Big active regions.
Yeah, there's a big active region over on the left and then two on the right.
Yeah.
Nothing pointed right at us, thankfully.
But it goes out in a spiral, so a slight
Yes.
spiral. So you gotta
Yeah.
watch that.
Mhm.
Where do we stand on the 11-year cycle? Is it flipping over? Or
We're at a peak.
We're at
Yeah.
a peak in sunspots.
Yeah. Peak in magnetic activity.
Got it.
Here's our sunspots.
But it's actually 22 years, 11 going up and 11 coming down.
Yep.
Got it. There we are.
Then
Look
the
at how
magnetic
big
field
those dark
reverses.
areas are. Those are huge.
Yeah.
You suppose the Parker probe is going to check some of these out?
Depends where they are in their orbit.
Yeah, I think Parker probe is on its last orbit, as I recall.
Before it plunges in and does an imitation of Cassini into Saturn?
Yeah.
Uh,
The severe under,
This
did
just-
any of you get a warning? I did on my cell phone of the earthquake that was in Bakersfield.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
We got it.
Covered. Yeah. Severe.
It's up to like what, several hundred aftershocks.
Oh, at least.
Yeah.
they-
Could you feel it there?
Oh, yeah. Mhm.
Yeah.
You
okay.
know, guys, we've at our house here on the west side, we felt absolutely nothing.
Oh,
And literally blocks away, my son said it was shaking like crazy. So we were really confused by that because we had
Well, a lot of times there's a P wave and an S wave, and if they're in phase, you get a lot of motion. If they're out of phase, they can cancel.
Yeah, and it depends what kind of soil you're on too.
Yeah, you're
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
on rock, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe.
But my wife was in bed. She felt the earthquake. I was sitting at my desk in this chair, which has casters on it, and I didn't feel it.
We felt it for about 30 seconds going pretty good roll.
Wow. And Joe Doyle got some damage to his ceiling.
There was a 1971 earthquake in Sylmar. And
Right.
I had an apartment in Northridge and my bed was on wheels. And, and it was about 6 a.m. And I woke up with a sudden shock and I thought, what's going on? And I noticed bashes in all four of my walls where the bed had hit. So,
Yeah.
That's a big skateboard.
yeah.
I
Yeah,
had a
that's-
big dog.
Yeah.
I had a big
that's-
dog that used to come in and wake me up for time
Yeah.
to go to school. And I thought it was the dog jumping on the bed. And I had a garter snake in a little cage on a bookcase next to my bed, and the garter snake ended up in the bed.
Wow.
why would there be wheels on a bed unless it's a hospital bed?
I don't know, but it was I don't know.
Probably casters. Probably just casters.
Yeah, they're little casters. I don't mean it had like bicycle
Yeah,
wheels.
the casters, you can move the bed around, you know, that
Yeah.
you move the bed around to make them and sweep floors and stuff like that.
Well, I don't know.
We were in bed and it woke us up. It has 6:02 in the morning, and the bed shook, in one direction, and then it shook opposite, 90 degrees, and then it shook
Yeah.
again. And we both said, that's a big earthquake someplace. And also they said, Marlon, that's our daughter, and she was at UCLA in Dykstra Hall on the 6th floor in the shower.
Ugh.
He says you don't want to be in a shower in an earthquake.
What's amazing to me is that only some phones went off and mine went absolutely crazy. I've never heard a sound like that before. And it was a dark screen except for a bright box in the middle that said earthquake. And I said, what earthquake? And
Yeah. Then it
10
hit.
seconds.
Oh, that earthquake.
Well, I figured it out. It gets sent to us, the alarm, with radio waves, which are the speed of
Yeah.
light. And the tremor itself comes from Kern County at what, the speed of sound or less?
It's about 15,000 feet per second. It's the speed of sound in rock.
In rock.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. Bruce has got it there.
Well, it was awfully close. It was only a few seconds after the radio, but I'm just wondering, where would this device be? At the airport, you suppose, in Bakersfield?
No, they've got devices all over the place, and they talk by basically radio to a central station.
So it's hooked up like a seismograph that if it shakes, it sends it out on its own. No people are involved. It's too quick to involve anybody.
Right.
Oh, wow,
But
there's an interesting map.
Yeah, that's it. And somewhere it'll show you how many are on your map.
right? Wow.
So you can tell how many aftershocks there have been.
Is that what those are?
You
Quite a
guys
few.
feel the aftershocks or no?
Well, that's the primary quake and the aftershocks if Tom has selected all magnitudes.
Wow.
Okay, 565.
Oh, God.
Oh, but look, 2,253 in the map area. So that's the number of aftershocks, and the 565 is just whatever magnitude you've selected.
Wow. Maybe they're all pre-shocks for the big one coming.
Well,
I don't
what
know
I
that
heard was that the
pre-shocks-
more aftershocks you have, the less chance it was a pre-shock.
Yeah,
Oh, is there such a thing as a pre-shock? I just came
Oh,
up
yeah.
with it.
that's
Oh, yeah.
to my mind memory, that's controversial.
Why?
I mean, I don't know.
Okay, but we're
You get what the way I look at it is you get a real big shock when something heavy, moves like a vertical slip plane or a transverse slip along a fault. And then that shock disturbs everything. And then all the other rocks around it are now settling back into place. And that's where the aftershocks come from.
Yeah.
okay. This was a 5.2 and it didn't do even damage in Bakersfield.
Good.
Well, it's out in an agricultural zone.
Yeah.
Oh,
There's a lot
okay.
of scared onions out there.
Yeah.
I think it's because all the fracking. I think it was all the fracking they do in that area.
Really?
They've done fracking all over.
But modern day science has it down to what, every 100 years we get a big one. This would be the 100th year of our big quake. I think it was 1924, wasn't it?
25.
25, yeah.
5. So we're coming upon 100 years. Wow.
June Kelly, who was in the club, she remembered as a child experiencing the earthquake, and then they went out and they were camped basically in their yard. And she said she thought it was a great adventure.
I'll bet. Well, back then they lost, I think, a dental office and half the facade of the Arlington and a couple of hotels downtown.
Oh, back in 1925, yeah.
1925.
Well, the Arlington had water tanks, fire water tanks up at the top, and that's a bad place to put them.
Yeah.
So they
Plus
collapsed.
was it the gas power station? The gas works got damaged, and some guy got down there and shut things down before there was a big explosion.
Mm-hmm.
Well, apparently it was water tanks in the movie Towering Inferno that saved the day that were on the roof. If you remember the movie.
Yeah, they flooded everything.
I thought about that. So what the hell are they do? It's like putting a swimming pool on the roof, which they have at the Canary Hotel, I think. Did you know that?
Well, those are gravity fed water supplies for a building. They're not uncommon.
Okay. Gravity, but it pushes it all the way to the top, to the roof somehow.
I think they have a pool at the Granada too, up there. I know they have a big penthouse apartment that they were trying to sell.
That's 8 floors. Gravity pushes at 8 floors. That's the tallest building we have in our town. Interesting. Tom, you're doing a great job.
Are you oblivious to LA earthquakes? Here's where you might be a never feeler. This is Tim Crawford.
Yeah.
Well, I got to tell you,
we didn't feel a thing, and then other times we felt all those. And that what was that one down south that was big? Where the
Landers?
No, the one where the freeway just collapsed on itself.
North.
That was a Sylmar earthquake in 71.
71,
Okay.
yeah. It destroyed a VA hospital.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. The escape, the stairwells, they collapsed. They parted company from the building.
Yeah.
Yeah. I lived through the Loma Prieta, 1989. I lived in Palo Alto. I was on my bicycle when it happened. I was leaving Lockheed Research Labs to go home and almost fell off my bike.
Yeah, that's where the freeway collapsed on itself, and all.
That's right, the Nimitz freeway.
Yeah, maybe that's the one I'm thinking of, because there was a baseball game. I think it was
Candlestick Park.
Candlestick
They
Park.
tore that down later.
Yeah, that was a bad earthquake.
Yeah, that was big.
Tim's 6.9, Tim.
Oh, well, yeah. I don't want to
The
see
epicenter was in the Santa Cruz Mountains, probably about 35 miles from where I lived.
I know
that was a prime example of what the news will take a little thing and just blow it up, because there was an area down there in the marina, a block that was on fire because of the gas mains broke, and you would think that San Francisco was burning the way that they were reporting it. No, it was a square block of San Francisco that was burning. It's now
still a pretty good size.
Yeah, but it's not all of San Francisco.
Well, the thing about it, Tim Crawford, at our age, if we're even walking, we wouldn't feel an earthquake because it doesn't feel that much difference. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
The
we
instability.
were. I know there was one here that was fairly big. I think it was 6 something, and we were playing a golf tournament up at Montecito Country Club, and we were inside. And one of the guys in our group was on the 18th green. He said that he thought he just drank too much. But I looked outside the door of this inside restaurant bar, and there was like a little fake wishing well there, and that thing was going up and down a foot to 2 feet. I mean, it was really rolling.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't remember the year of that.
That was 75 or 77, somewhere in there.
Yeah, it was pretty big. It was, and I was amazed that that on the asphalt and everything, or concrete, whatever it was, that little wishing well had moved that much.
There was a train that derailed, and at our office,
maybe that was it.
There were sparklets, the big water bottles, that you can get. We had a water cooler that had a sparklets water bottle in it, and then there were empties and a couple of full ones sitting on the floor. And the one that was in the dispenser actually flipped over and fell and landed upright and hardly spilled anything. But the ones that were full next to the ones that were empty, they rattled against each other and broke and flooded the room.
One of those quakes you're talking about happened on a Sunday back in 70s, 80s, and it also had an explosion with it. I've never heard an earthquake before, but this one sounded like a distant nuclear explosion. Do you recall that? And I think it was off the coast.
They rumble.
That was 1978 when the train derailed during an earthquake in Goleta.
Can I add something before we end here? And just kind of tell Tom that I took out that little 6-inch scope on Saturday night, Tom.
Okay.
So I got the thing all completed. It was really good. I like to go out there and really get Chuck really mad because it takes me about 5 or 10 minutes to set it up and take it down.
I'm not mad. I'm just jealous.
Yeah.
We had.
It's a nice looking scope.
Yeah. We had. Let me see if I can just give it.
You going to bring it to Westmont, Tim?
No, I want to use the 8. The 6.
Okay.
The 6 is a 6. It's just not really that. It's not that big of a deal, really.
You'll have a big moon. You're gonna have a big moon, Tim.
Well, that's true, and it would work, but it turned out pretty good. I mean, I like it. The mirror is really nice. It's a cave mirror. You can see I moved up the mirror cell a half an inch. Yeah. And then there's 2 plates of mirrors here. Look, you can see these little side ship pieces of wood to keep the bearings from sliding out. And so I have 2 different sets there. This same base can use an 8-inch or a 6-inch scope. But there's your focuser, Jerry.
Yeah.
I got that little sucker on there.
Glad it worked for you.
Oh yeah, it worked great. After I move that up, it's I'll have, when you get back, I'll have you help me with one of the collision issues I have, and we'll check it out. But I mean, yeah, there were so many scopes that were doing neat things. David Larson was right next to me, and he had the Trifid on his little scope, the little camera, and man, it was unbelievable. It was pretty good.
Yeah.
And Hank was running that 14-inch, Tom, that we made a base for. Mm-hmm. And he complained bitterly that the mirror was really dirty and that he couldn't see the lagoon. And I was going, "Do you have a filter in it?" And he goes, "Well, no, you don't need a filter." I said, "Yeah, you need a filter to see."
03. You should have an 03 on that.
On a 14, yeah, maybe on a 5. Like the best view of the lagoon I ever saw was Tim Wittenberg's 5-inch teleview with no filter at all up at Kachuma Campout. Mm-hmm. But this one later, he had M13 with a little double. What do you call those? When it doubles the power. And
Barlow.
Yeah, the Barlow on it, and looking pretty much straight up. And boy, it was incredible. Yeah. So I had the same M13 on this little 6 that he had on that 14-inch, and that's when I really experienced the beauty of having more power. That light gathering ability. I just used the shortcut of R squared, and you can see the difference in the radiuses. 49 with his 7 squared versus mine. What was it? 3 squared, 9.
Yeah.
versus 49. That's a lot more light grab, but
Mhm.
it's a lot heavier to pick up and roll around than this little 6.
Right.
The
Right.
happy medium is this 8. This little 8 is really cool.
Next
So
time,
Chuck
Tim,
Schuler, 20-inch scope sometimes.
try to send word down to the greeters table, which is me there in the dark, that you got something good like that, so I can tell the people. I think they're just looking at the moon. I don't know what's.
Yeah, I had these two. The two women were looking at M13 with me, and
Okay.
I knew that Hank had that same image, and I said, "Have you seen it on that scope over there?" So I
Oh.
took him over there, and the first words out of her mouth is, "Oh wow!" You know, yeah, it's a
Just
little
send the
different.
word down. So I didn't.
Yeah.
Saturn's not available, and
There were a lot of scopes.
real quickly, Tom Whittemore mentioned what was it? Mars and Jupiter are going to be
Jupiter.
close.
Yeah.
Well,
morning.
0.4 degrees apart. And
half a
August,
degree apart.
yeah, Wednesday morning, before the sun comes up.
Do the planets ever occult?
Yes.
Of course,
Mhm.
How often
not
is that?
not commonly, but yes.
Okay. Well, let me just read you a quick New York Times interesting headline. The writer of M. Butterfly, a big musical, I think, on stage in Broadway, David Henry Hwang, is working on a Broadway musical about particle physics. I don't know if it's going to be called Lady Quantum or what, but gentlemen, time, and I'll see you all tomorrow night. And it's been good talking to you. And thank you for joining us, Mr. President. This is episode number 181. We'll be back to do 182, 11 to noon next Monday morning. It's the SBAU Astro Hour. Thank you, and good night, all.